Elections are messy things, huh? I mean, there is just no other word for it. We, the electorate, are bombarded with slick mailers with few facts and lots of falsehoods. Our phones ring incessantly, urging our vote and pleading for our hard-earned money to support this worthy cause or that worthy candidate. Our eyes finally become glazed over from yard signs and bumper stickers promoting it all. And there is usually enough mud slung in elections to build a good-sized dam or even a pyramid to rival those in Egypt. But it's not anything new, let me tell you. Most of us remember the hanging chads in Florida in 2000 and the selection of George W. Bush to be president by a 5-4 vote of the Supreme Court. But our history goes way back before that. It's replete with questionable campaigning and backroom deals going back all the way to John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. My favorite election happens to be 1884, though I don't remember it personally, I might note. James G. Blaine was the Republican candidate, while the Democrats had nominated Grover Cleveland. Now, Blaine had a lot of credentials to recommend him. He was a former Speaker of the House, had been a U.S. Senator, and Secretary of State. Cleveland, on the other hand, had been mayor of Buffalo and governor of New York. Things got really ugly in this election. Blaine was called the Continental Liar from the state of Maine because of all his unethical dealings with the railroad industry. Those of you who remember your American history will remember that in the late 1800s, railroads ruled this country. But the Republicans did not have clean hands either. They came up with a rhyme that they sang over and over. Thank goodness there was no television, because it would have just been more than people could have stood. The doggerel went like this: Ma, ma, where's my pa? Gone to the White House. Ah, ha, ha. This was in reference to the child that Cleveland had supposedly fathered out of wedlock. 4 days before the election, another slogan popped up that went right on over the top and helped to secure the presidency for Grover Cleveland. A minister. Why is it always a minister? A minister introducing Blaine at a New York City rally of clergymen depicted the Democrats as the party of rum, Romanism, and rebellion. A dig apparently at their drink of preference, their love of the Pope, and their former involvement in the Confederate States of America during the Civil War. This salacious ethnic swipe helped Grover Cleveland carry New York by a mere 1,149 votes and gave him the presidency. But my favorite bit of mudslinging supposedly occurred during a race in the 1950s in Florida. It's always Florida. Between George Mathers and Claude Pepper. Now, nobody's sure that this actually happened. It may be more legend than truth, but it is nonetheless indicative of how low we can go. Mathers is credited with delivering a speech in which he described Pepper's sister as a well-known thespian. Pepper's brother was a practicing Homo sapien, and Mathers further alleged that Pepper himself masticated daily and had openly matriculated at college. I'm sure you, like me, are just shocked at how despicable these charges by George Mathers were. Truly, elections are messy business. But I swear to you that I much prefer them to the way that many countries decide winners and losers. We use the secret ballot. Some govern from the butt of a gun. We stand in line for hours to choose freely without intimidation. Many are given only one candidate who usually wins 99% of the votes or more, and I've always wondered what happened to the 1% after the election was over. Without fear of imprisonment, we argue with one another our preferred viewpoints with passion. We yell at each other, boycott, and demonstrate. We put up placards in our yards and wear buttons and put bumper stickers on our cars. All of this in the wild mix of crazed confusion and high drama that we call American politics. We think that this has been a nasty election, and at times it has been. But even this is part of the national scenery. But let me tell you what is my favorite part of all this election craziness. It's the night of Election Day. All the ballots are nearly counted. The people have spoken. A winner has been declared, and the two candidates appear, one to concede and one to accept congratulations. Bill Maher said on Larry King Live this past week that it's a bizarre experience. For weeks, the candidates have been flinging charges at each other. Socialist, tax and spend liberal, clone of President Bush, who favors keeping troops in Iraq for the next 100 years. And then on the night the election is over, they call each other and make nice with each other. They promise that they'll work together. It's a bizarre moment. And a blessed one. For across all political divides, presidential candidates and candidates for the Senate and the House and city councils across America share a common vision. A city, a state, a country united in common cause, committed to building a better place to live for all our citizens. Yet, sometimes there are those who lose, and the loss is more than just a vote, more than just a candidate in whom they put their hopes. I refer to those who grieve this day as a result of Proposition 8. Now, no heterosexual can stand before you this morning and pretend to know completely the pain that Tuesday night brought for men and women in this church and across this city and state and throughout this nation, who saw voters grant rights and privileges to chickens and deny rights to children of God.